Execution is about culture. Execution is not just about taking a systematic approach to achieving goals. It's about culture. If you want to build a ship, the writer Antoine de Saint-Exupéry is often quoted as saying, "Don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea." 4. In building a culture, there are a number of issues to address. How hard do you push people? How do you use a combination of carrots and sticks? What about control, competition, measurement, rewards, and recognition? This is another, deeper part of the art of execution. Indeed, though a tool like the execution dashboard is unquestionably important in operating a successful organization, including an NGO or a government agency, I would argue strongly that if you feel stressed by the idea of doing things in the way described above, you're missing the point of this chapter, or even this book. Indeed, deploying too much stress in an effort to execute is destructive, particularly in a changing world that increasingly puts a premium on creativity and innovation. The relentless focus on the bottom line is something too many companies do, at the expense of the next big thing. I think this is one of the reasons that so few CEOs are happy with execution in their organizations. Too many leaders simply don't understand that execution is not just about getting people to build the boat. Steve Denning, a consultant and contributor to Forbes magazine, made this point in an article comparing two corporate cultures: General Electric, which focuses on competitiveness and bottom-line execution, and Apple, which is more interested in creativity. 5. He asked why General Electric has lost 40% of its share value since 2002, while Apple's stock has kept rising. The situation is pretty much the same as of this writing. In the business world, execution has been too often deemed equivalent to bottom-line results, and companies compete ruthlessly on that basis. But as New York Times columnist David Brooks observed in 2012, in the race to be more competitive, we sometimes confuse what is hard with what is valuable. The intensity of competition becomes a proxy for value. 6. The problem, Denning wrote, in response to Brooks, has everything to do with corporate culture. When you have the accountants and the money men searching the firm high and low to find new and ingenious ways to cut costs, the activities dispirit the creators, the product engineers and the designers, and also crimp the firm's ability to add value to its customers, Denning observed. But because the accountants appear to be adding to the firm's short-term profitability and making the firm more competitive, they are the ones that are as a class celebrated and well rewarded, even as their activities systematically kill the firm's future. 7. This is the kind of mindset that focuses on a reductive understanding of what execution could or should be. While execution is key for success, meticulousness for its own sake comes with its own set of problems nonstop. Brutal competition and the pressure to focus on the bottom line at all costs hurt people, particularly when they mistakenly think that work, career, and money are all there is. Example number 1 is the suicide rate in Japan, the highest in the world, largely due to stress and fatigue from overwork. There's even a Japanese word, karoshi, meaning death from overwork. No human being can work around the clock, paying scant attention to balance in life. No matter how goal-driven he or she is, nobody responds well to incessant pressure applied from the outside. Goading doesn't work well with animals, much less human beings. Apply too many sticks, and people become helpless and depressed. And, interestingly, people under stress don't respond too well to a lot of financial carrots either. Simply telling everyone to follow orders won't get the ship very far, no matter how much you pay them. In fact, scientists and behavioral economists who study human motivation have discovered that paying people A lot of money to perform well on a task can actually have the opposite effect. Dan Ariely, a behavioral economist at Duke University, has written extensively about this. He and his colleagues conducted an experiment in India to see whether giving people a big bonus would push people to work to the best of their ability. They asked 87 participants to perform a variety of tasks associated with attention, memory, concentration, and creativity, such as fitting pieces of a metal puzzle into a plastic frame, recalling a string of numbers, and throwing tennis balls at a target. If they performed the tasks exceptionally well, they would earn either a small bonus, equivalent to a day's work in rural India, a medium bonus, worth about 2 weeks' pay, or the highest bonus, the equivalent of 5 months' pay. Ariely and his colleagues found that those offered small and medium bonuses performed about the same. But those offered big bonuses froze up and did worse than the others when it came to cognitive tasks involving memory and creativity. 8. Clearly, if execution were a simple matter of tactics, performing one task after another in a systematic way, or trying to push things along by punishing people for non-performance or paying them for hyper-performance, more of us would achieve what we set out to do. We wouldn't get derailed and sidetracked. Tactics without the dream of the sea, to paraphrase Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's saying, are the equivalent of giving people wood, telling them to build a boat, and leaving it at that. As Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan, the authors of Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done, put it, this idea is completely wrong. Execution is not just tactics. It is a discipline and a system. It has to be built into a company's strategy, its goals, and its culture.